I'd like to call to order the Douglas Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for Wednesday, June 4th at 7:07 PM. The first agenda item is to reorganize the board, which happens once a year. So we would need a couple of...
I nominate Dan as chair.
I'll second. John Moore.
You don't need a second on it, so.
Okay, so we have, and we need one for vice chair as well.
Is there anybody else for chair?
No, nobody else wants you.
Okay.
Okay.
Need a motion for Mike, for vice chair?
Yeah.
You can either do them both together or you can do them separate.
Yeah, I usually do them together. I'm just,
Okay, so I make a motion that we go Dan Heaney as chair, Mike Fitzpatrick as vice chair.
okay.
Second.
Seconded by Jim. So we have a motion by Margaret, seconded by Jim. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. The next agenda item is the continued public hearing for Jason Randor, case number 2025-06. The office received a request for continuance till next month, this afternoon. So that case is continued. Mr. Randor signed an extension of time for us to make a decision. So that's taken care of. And the next item on the agenda is a public hearing for Kamal, I'm going to do my best here, Armanos?
Armenius.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
That's case number
Yeah.
2025-07, 8 Wickstead Court is looking for a variance. The date of the application is May 14th, and
Yeah, he's, yeah.
the following was posted in the town hall and also advertised in the Telegram and Gazette, and it reads as follows. The Town of Douglas Zoning Board of Appeals will hold a public hearing beginning at 7 PM on Wednesday, June 4th in the Douglas Municipal Center, Resource Room, 29 Depot Street, Douglas, Mass. To hear the following application. Kamal Armenius is requesting a variance pursuant to MGL Chapter 40A, Section 10, and Section 9.2 of the Douglas bylaws for front yard setback relief under dimensional regulations, Appendix B, to construct a 16-foot by 10-foot deck in a VR zone district. The property is located at 8 Wickstead Court, map 142, parcel 49. Any person interested or wishing to be heard should appear at the time and place designated. A copy of the application is available for review during regular business hours in the Douglas Community Development Department, 29 Depot Street, Douglas, Mass. Okay, the public hearing is now open, and we did have a communication from the planning board who said they had no objection to this application. Sir, would you like to join us? You might just bring up a chair and join us at the table. Also, I got a note here from our administrative secretary, and she sent out all the green cards, and she said she got back all of them but 4.
How you doing?
So we've met our legal obligation on that.
Want to know who's appearing the case?
Okay, gentlemen, we have your application, but if you want to give us a quick rundown of exactly what you want to do. And
Sure. So this was originally an existing deck. Basically, we're rebuilding it because it's extremely old, and we're just making it a little bigger than what it originally was. That's really pretty much it.
Okay. All right, I noticed in the application you also had a plot plan in there showing, I have it right here, thank you. So you're setback you're looking for is 30.2 feet.
Right.
Okay. All right. Any board members have any question on the application?
No, I have no.
No, just a comment that it's not increasing the nonconformity of the lot. It's still further back than the actual structure. I don't have any objections to
Yep. Right, yeah,
the
the house,
location of the deck.
existing house is closer to the street than the new porch will be.
Correct.
Yeah. Anybody else that would like to speak in this application? Is there anybody in the room that would like to speak on this application for 8 Wickstead Court? Okay. Hearing none, I guess entertain a motion to close the public hearing, unless somebody has any other questions here at the table.
So moved. Make a motion to close the public hearing.
Okay.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion made by Jim, seconded by Les. All in favor of closing the public hearing, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Public hearing's now closed. Would the board like to move forward with a decision tonight? Okay. So, entertain a motion for this application.
Yeah, I'd make a motion to approve the application, case number 2025-07, for a variance request. And part of the reasoning is it does not increase the non-conformity of the lot.
Okay. You want to call this into record as well?
Yeah, we can.
Need this?
Yeah, no, I use this one. Thanks for the correction,
No
Mr. Chairman. Like to also enter in, we'll use the plot plan that was submitted with it, dated 3/24/25. That was the last revision date from Alpha Omega Engineering. It's a plot plan showing the location of the deck.
So we have,
Also, there is a set of plans that was also submitted. That is dated October 2024.
all right, we have a motion, Mr. Fitzpatrick, to
She didn't give you this.
approve the application as requested and incorporating the plot plan into the record. So do we have a second on that? Okay, second by Margaret. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, your variance request is approved. We'll get a decision drafted as soon as possible, and we'll get it signed and into the town clerk's office. That's when the appeal period begins. So we'll
General notified.
try to move that as quickly as we can, and our staff will be in contact when it's ready to be picked up.
Excellent.
Then you'll need to get it recorded as well.
Very good.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm just going to jump ahead a little bit here. We have a bill here we can pass around. It needs to be signed by everybody. And there are some decisions here that needed to be signed. You can-
Those ones we got today in email?
Yes.
I haven't had a chance to read through any of them.
Okay.
I guess we can peek through them. I'd like to at least breeze through them before I sign it.
Okay. Everybody else wants more time to review them? Okay.
Now, so for our comments, so we're talking about the decisions,
Yes.
so you're looking for comments
Yes.
on those? 'Cause on the one for, well, you know the one on 125 Ledgestone, you had the wrong, you had Linda Newton's names on that one. I think somebody brought that up.
Yeah.
earlier.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then on the other one, for Linda Newton's, one for the
41 Ledgestone.
41.
41 Ledgestone, you'll see, I don't have it in front of me, So had me voting to approve. You have to take my name out of there.
Okay.
I recuse myself.
Yep.
It's out of the updated.
Which one?
It's out of the updated one.
Oh, it is out of the updated one, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's on this draft. Right here in the decision.
Our signature page.
So just under the decision, just got to remove vacant.
Okay. And which case was that, Margaret?
That was
41.
41 Ledge.
Yeah, I don't have her name on this one
But yeah, I think these are updated copies, maybe
that were put
they
into
were
our...
updated after Margaret.
Do you
so-
have the updated one, Les?
Yeah, it doesn't have you in there, Margaret.
It doesn't under the decision,
No.
right here? You don't have bacon in there?
I got Stevens.
Oh, then they corrected it.
Yeah.
Somebody picked it up.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Okay.
Well, you make a good point, so now you look at the other.
All right, why don't we pass this around? This is just a bill for, needs to be signed for the Worcester Telegram Gazette for 8 Wickstead Court.
Oh, you know what?
Pass that around, please.
To my point, it's actually in the, what I do have with the Murphy. The signature page is correct. In the decision, it says,
Ian
Dan
Stevens.
Stevens.
Yeah,
This is the one I was not.
yeah, he wasn't in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm going to have them correct these.
Yeah.
So what I
That's
did is
it.
I circled this one, I circled this one. Blaniez, well, you have the actual decision on Blaniez, so if these two are incorrect, well,
Thank you.
the decision, what did the decisions actual typed out ones say? Have they been corrected in there, Dan? As far as the new
In which case is that?
20?
Blaniez.
Blaniez,
Well, yeah, that's 120. I'll take a look. Yeah, it's Stevens in there, too. Heaney Stevens.
Okay.
so does it say Linda Nunes?
Yes.
Yes, so you can't sign this. You
Yep.
can't sign either one of these.
Yeah.
What we could do, try to help out the applicants, we could sign the signature page, and I'll just tell Jen not to forward it to anybody until she's heard from, it's been
After she
reviewed.
types it up, I'll stop it and sign it, I'm around, so
Okay.
I'm not going to sign it ahead of time.
Okay.
Not to be difficult, but I want to know what I'm signing.
Okay. How does the rest of the board feel? You want to sign it and hold off Mike's signature until after those changes are made?
Yeah, I mean, I'll sign.
Otherwise, it'll be a month before these
Sure.
people get them, and
Yeah,
just trying to work with
Yeah,
them.
like Mike said, if he's around, he can just run in and do it.
I run it, it's not a big deal.
It's a long ride for me, so.
Yeah, it is for me, so.
So we're all, once they make the changes, we're all going to come in and sign?
Well, the other option we have is we could sign it, just the signature page, because and then have Jen make the changes, and Mike will come in and make sure that the changes that we've discussed are done. I don't know.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'll have to wait till the next month.
No, I just assume, yeah, I can do either way.
I agree.
Yeah, okay. All right, so let me pass these around.
And he recused himself from this, so this is on 41. That one's 41.
Okay, so
This one's 125, so it's just,
yeah, it's just a typo.
yeah. Well,
Dan, I'll give
it's
you-
like what I do, copy and paste.
Yep.
Right, they are.
Just
Yeah, I think he did that, but, okay,
So-
that's fine.
I'm just showing
That's
you
fine.
what it was, so you knew what we're talking about. On Linda Nunes, there was nothing on that one? You were in on that, you made the motion, Les?
Yeah, you know what's okay.
Margaret's name's not in here, so she must have recused herself on that. Okay. So I guess we could sign 41.
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Sorry. Margaret.
I don't know, so this is a 25 so why don't we sign some of those? So this is
We signed 2 pages, two spots.
2 spots, okay.
Yeah, Dan's got to sign 3 spots.
So this is 125.
Yeah, they keep a wet copy for the records, Margaret.
125 Ledgestone.
It's, that one's, that's 400 Northwest Main.
That's Murphy's.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
that one's
that she's
held.
got. Yeah.
They're on Cottage Colony,
Little
but
cottage,
their
yeah.
address is
Yeah.
400. Yeah.
I went to look at that one, I couldn't find it.
Oh,
It said 400 Northwest Main up in the telephone pole.
Up at the top of the road.
I called
He
Ken.
called me up, he's like, where the heck is this thing? I'm like, it's because you're supposed to be on Cottage
I
Colony.
don't blame you. I don't blame you.
Oh, I couldn't find it.
It's, no, because it's tucked. This one here you can pass over. That's not this. Yep.
Is that one spelled correctly?
No, this is a pencil.
That's an auto writer, auto signer.
Auto sign? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's an auto pen.
Well, that's what we want, right?
Yeah. Because the school teacher doesn't have a pen, you know what I'm saying?
I'm retired.
You re what?
You heard me.
Neil, have you seen this report from Haley and Ward? I think it just came in today, I don't know if you've seen it. You want this copy to look it over before we get started?
Give me one of those pens.
What do you want?
Give me one of those pens.
Take that one. I got extra.
Oh, no, that's fine. I just got home like with 5 minutes to spare. So I never got a chance to do anything.
Oh, did you tell Sean what you got now to have at your meetings there?
Oh, yeah. Don't stick your fingers out too far, Sean, because
I saw the box and I was terrified.
right here.
Gavel?
I was absolutely
Pretty good with a
terrified.
hammer, too.
I have absolutely no doubt in my mind. No doubt in my mind,
Where do you hook
sir.
the air hose to it?
These knuckles hurt enough. I don't need anything else, thank you, sir.
And actually, I should mention, while we're on the air, tonight we have a new associate member, Mr. Sean Holland. Sean served on the board for 10 or 12 years previously, and we're glad to have him back. Welcome back, Sean.
Thank you very much, and I very much appreciate the opportunity to be back. Thank you.
No, thank you.
Well, I got tricked into that one. She's got to hold this one until it's corrected. Linda New was 41. I can sign
As
it.
soon as we get these signed, we're also going to do, approve the minutes of our April 2nd meeting.
Oh, I wasn't here for that. Good.
I don't know if everybody's had a chance to review them yet.
They look good to me.
If not, we can postpone that.
That's the one that's good. So what I did is I just took this. I took this for Jen, so this is signed. She's got to edit these too.
Okay, so which cases do you have there, Les?
It's the same ones that probably might
Yeah.
have caught.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your mistakes.
I always leave notes for her in my packet, that's why I'm just telling Dan what I do.
Cool.
Yeah.
Change down the minutes.
Can can, on those ones, all I did was circle the two things that she's got to correct the names, so if you can let her know, thanks.
I don't believe she'll be in tomorrow, but I'll make sure.
No, but, yeah, then as soon as she has them done, I'll come sign them. One I already signed by mistake.
Duped you into it, huh? Duped you
Yeah,
into
if you're ready.
Well, and Tim over here, he just don't.
Slid it right
I've
across.
signed
Yeah.
stuff and taking my pen.
Okay, guys.
Item
Second.
3, halfway down the paragraph, when it talks about board members are in disagreement with that, and that the town's legal counsel stated that Attorney Falk is current or is correct in his assessment. Should that current be correct?
Should be.
Correct, yeah.
Or any minor stuff, but.
Yep, no,
other than
hey.
that.
Whereabouts is that? In section 3?
Section 3, it's about the ninth line down.
Oh, yeah, it must be correct. Can't be current in this assessment. Yeah.
Do we have any more copies of that Haley and Ward?
No, I can make more. Who needs one?
Well, I gave mine to Neil, so he could know what we,
No, I'll go make another one.
I gave mine to Neil.
I know, I got mine's highlighted a little bit. Okay,
Other than that, that's it for me.
want to start the motion?
One other thing on the meeting minutes, under number 5. The board members discussed briefly what they are going to decide going forward with special permits, about making them go to Concom and Board of Health prior to zoning, and Ken requested something in writing so that he can post it on the special permit applications. So have we done that, or?
We haven't, but it's just, in the minutes, it's saying we're going to do
Going
that.
to.
Yeah,
So I don't
so,
know, we want to discuss that at some time, so.
we do, and I'm going to see if we can get that on the agenda next month.
Oh, oh.
I kind of thought we'd have 2 long hearings tonight,
Oh, okay.
so
So it have to be an agenda item?
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
thanks, Mike.
All right, so I make a motion that we accept the ZBA meeting minutes of Wednesday, April 2nd,
As amended?
as amended.
Okay, okay, we have a motion.
Second.
Margaret, second by Jim. All in favor? Aye. Aye. The minutes are approved as amended for April 2nd. Okay. Next agenda item is a discussion with North Brown LLC. And there are a couple people here from the development. Okay, I just want to, we obviously are in receipt of the complaints, and we are working on it quite diligently. We're going to have a discussion tonight with the developer's representative, and, certainly we'll open it up for some discussion, but primarily it's to see if we can get an agreement on some of these issues, and then we'll have something to hold their feet to the fire. So, Neil, would you like to join us?
Get one over here. I'm comfortable with it, but that's better than those. Might be.
Thanks for coming in, Neil.
Thank you.
Did you get copies of the complaints that the board received?
No.
You did not?
No.
Okay. All right. Ken will make some.
You want me to do it?
Yep. So there were several, actually, and some of them, in at least my opinion, were issues between the developer and the homeowners. And there were also some issues that are between the board, or the ZBA, and the developer.
Okay.
Things that, and there were some things that may or may not be, they're not relevant to what we do. So I guess that would be between the homeowners and your company. So we we asked Haley and Ward to go out and based on the complaints that we received, he went out there and did a review and came back with 3 pages of comments, of which I previously given you a copy. So we're here to, obviously, to discuss that and try to get a time frame and try to make the homeowners happy and make the town happy. So some of them are minor in nature and some other ones are not so minor. So if you want, we can go through this list one by one. And we also have our counsel, Jay Talman, here. So did you have a chance to review the whole thing?
Not the entire
Okay.
report.
All right. Well, I guess I can read it, each one, and we can discuss it, I guess. In the Haley and Ward report, it said the street trees were located in front of units 17, and they don't meet the specs that were on the plans that were approved, having a minimum of 2-inch diameter caliper. So in this case, that tree needs to be replaced with a species which was specified on sheet 26 of the plans that were approved.
Yep, the species, it was from sheet 27.
Okay.
And at this time, we're not asking for a final inspection for these items. If it takes another year to 2 years to build the project, that tree might be 2 inches in diameter.
Yeah.
We're not asking for that specific Phase 2 be accepted by the town at this time. So there are things that we are still working on.
Okay.
My interpretation of something like that is if you get an approval, and obviously other people, I hope they chime in, if you get an approval to do a subdivision like that and it calls out that a minimum of a 2-inch caliper tree should be planted, it's not when it decides to get to be 2 inches, is when you plant it. It should be a minimum of 2 inches to accelerate the growth spurt, right? Because in your theory, you could put in one that's a 1/2 inch in diameter and hopefully it gets to be 2 inches by the time you're done. Right, so just to be fair, I don't want to be splitting hairs with you, but that's my interpretation, and I would look for input from other people on the board.
I agree with you.
I agree. It should be planted at
Yep, 2 inches.
the minimum size that's
Yep.
proposed.
Otherwise, it would have been worded that by the time you get your CO, make sure the tree is 2 inches in diameter.
Right,
So
yeah, which, if they're over 2 inches, then there's no question it's a dead issue. Okay, so, you know where the board stands on that, and we're looking to get it.
Could I just touch on that? Because you did say sheet 27, did you mean 26?
I meant 26.
Okay. No, just
Yeah, I'm
making
sorry.
sure that because he called out a species on here, and I just want to make sure that there wasn't another page that said a different type of tree or some foolish thing.
Okay. Haley and Ward also pointed out several areas in Phase 1 that they said needs to be regraded, loamed, and seeded. So, in Phase 1's been there for years. So is that something that you can take care of shortly?
That's something we're currently working on,
You are?
yes.
Okay. All right. All right. And then in their report, they said that the storm cells 38 and 43 require additional loam seed to establish proper vegetation growth. The areas draining to these cells are established, and these cells should be completed.
I only did one side of the page.
Huh?
I shortchanged everybody.
Oh,
This one has 2.
Oh, no, you got 2 sides, but I made copies.
I got 2
so I
sides.
got 1 side.
Oh.
Right.
I have 2.
That's why I'm not an administrative assistant.
Okay. So what is the status of those 2 cells?
The same thing, we're going through the project right now. We're relooming, reseeding, fertilizing.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Can I ask a question on that? Who is picking up these things that haven't been completed?
Haley and Ward, that was our
Engineer.
engineering firm that we use to monitor the construction and give us reports.
Okay.
So,
Semi-independent, so it's,
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, but this is separate than the complaint letter?
well, the complaint involves some interior things which we have no, it's not in our jurisdiction, yeah. And then they had some outside things, some of them, I guess we'll get the opinion of the council on that, but some of them have to do with the roadway, the driveways, and so forth, and the storm cell basins
And that's listed in
Yeah.
Haley and Ward's.
yeah.
report. Yeah, do you have one?
Yeah.
Do you have one?
No,
Oh,
I
okay.
only gave her half of it because I didn't do the other page.
Oh, okay.
But, Dan, if you don't mind if I just add something?
No, go
Just
ahead.
for the sake of the rest of the group. The other day, because of the complaints that came in, we had a conference call, Land Council, Dan, myself, Haley and Wood, and we had asked them to, because of the nature of the complaints, to go out there and just give us, do a fast visual survey to see what issues are out there, because they were related to driveways, roadways, grass, retention, these rain gardens, trees, and things like that. So that's what this is, that this has really a very small snapshot of what's going on, but it was something they went through and gave us a fast eyes on to give us their opinion. So that's where this document came from.
In the, some of the complaints, there was
I'm gonna stick
like
it out.
issues about painting, which has nothing to do with ZBA. There may be, or may not be an issue, but it's not a ZBA issue.
Addresses the ZBA
Yes, correct.
complaints. Okay.
Yep. Okay, so Storm Cell 40 is also one that's going to be redone?
That's already been redone, or it's in the process of being redone now.
Okay.
Yep.
And number 6, Haley and Ward said that there was some asphalt binder issues present, and that they would like them to be repaired prior to the top coat, and they would like to witness it there. They want them cut out, and
Yep,
so they'll just have to be given a fair notice so they can
absolutely.
be there.
Yep.
There was also, Haley and Ward found 6 individual driveways that showed some failure. And I know we'd gotten an email that the asphalt company was going to be there shortly. We just want to make sure that that's taken care of.
Yeah, no, and any areas that are in poor condition will be cut out, replaced with binder, and then top coated.
Okay, and Haley and Ward will be notified through our office?
No, I thought Haley and Ward doesn't oversee driveways.
Do you have anything, Jay? that-
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a close question. So the driveways generally are an issue by and between the homeowners and the developer, and we wouldn't micromanage that. But when we have multiple driveway failures in a project where it was essentially promised, for lack of a better word, to the ZBA that everything would be done in a good and workmanlike manner, it elevates it a little bit. So I think that, and we talked about this in particular, where the nexus, we do not want to be policing your individual agreements and arrangements with property owners. Some of them may require different, or ask for different driveway materials or whatever. But when we have multiple failure of driveways, it becomes an issue that does raise a concern. So I'm not sure that's something that we need to go through the inspections in process here, but I think it's fair to expect that we would be notified when we rectify that. We're fielding these complaints about
Yep.
the driveways. Ken is in a spot, because he's got to respond to complaints and decide whether they're in the zoning realm or not. I think it's easier to just rectify it, give us notice so that we can address it and check the box there. But these questions, and it comes up from time to time, as to whether or not we are actually looking at things like this. In a condominium development, it's a slightly different issue than a single-family house where people are buying the whole lot. You know, this is a common area, more or less. But, so I think it's important for you, when you fix them, to at least give us the high sign that you fixed them.
Absolutely.
So,
Okay. They also Haley Ward made mention that on the definitive plans, there were 13 trees to be installed. They observed 13, however, the plans call for trees in front of units 26 and 30, of which there are none. So,
If you read farther along, some of the trees appear to have been relocated. I just got this report. I would have to take a look at them all.
Okay.
And review it and get back to you on that. But if they were moved, typically there's a reason why they were relocated. So something might have been in the way. I don't know the answer to that.
all right. Haley Ward said there were supposed to be 13. There are 13. Maybe a couple of them are not where they show in the plan. I don't know if anybody's got any issues with that.
Yeah, if I had a handhole or something like that in that location, I might have to relocate it.
And the same thing with the 2-inch caliper on the trees. There too at the bottom of that paragraph. Same thing, the trees aren't 2 inches.
Right. Yeah.
Just out of curiosity.
Yep, go ahead.
Because of his response, if there was a handhole or something in the way, you would move it to a whole totally different unit? Not just move it over in front of the same unit?
I would move it to the closest location, but like I said, I don't know exactly
Yep.
the situation for these.
Yeah, and that's fair. I'm just asking a question. We just
Yeah.
had to
Ideally,
give
I
an
would-
example. So it's like, if you can't put it here and you got to move it 4 or 5 feet, not 2 or 3 doors.
Agreed.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Number 9 was saying that the streetlights have been installed, the correct amount have been installed at the correct spacing per the definitive plans. And there was a revision in 2009, and it referred to the decision does not typically refer to the type of streetlights. I looked at the plans with Ken. Go ahead, Ken, you want to?
So after we
Further
had that
down in that
meeting, I
statement, yeah.
sent a copy of page 26 of 38, which showed the exact design style, even had the model number of the lights that were approved for that development. So that further on down there, he references that he received another plan dated 2010 November,
That's correct.
and that, I believe, is the plan that I sent him. That's the last plan of the construction set of plans that I have of my drawing.
Okay. There were several in those complaints about lack of, there wasn't enough light. And I took a ride through there actually this morning, and they almost look like household lights, almost like the kind you'd have on somebody's front door. And they're only about 6 feet off the ground. I don't have the plan to know what height they were supposed to be at, but I can see where they wouldn't be throwing off much light. So if you can just verify that the correct lumina and the correct height.
If they're incorrect, the correct ones will be put in place.
And I think, and we talked about this on our call, I think we appreciate that technology has changed in the last 15 years or so. There's probably even better quality lights that give enough light, while they're also even better in dark sky compliance and all that. So I'm not sure if you used a different spec that's the biggest deal in the world, a different actual light. But they should perform the same and be the same height. So I think it's justifiable if like the light, they don't even make that light anymore. They make a better light, and that's what you use. You just want make sure that we're getting the equivalent of what was in the design or better.
Okay.
So, wouldn't want to make you go to antique shop and find things that haven't
There's a nice
existed
one in
since
Newport. No.
2011, you know.
If the board would like, if you want to come to the office tomorrow morning, I don't know what set of plans you're working off of, but I can show you the set of plans and I can show you the page that has the exact light that they had approved.
That'd be great. And if we are replacing them, I'll go over with the town what we're swapping them out with, if I can't get that specific model.
Okay, and then this also refers to other basins. This one refers to basin number 1. So you're working on bringing all the basins up to what they were designed for?
Yes.
Since we're talking on basins, I do have a couple of questions on that. I think it's somewhere around 30 or 31 or something. There was a little mini excavator that was in there, and it kind of scratched out the bottom down to black soil. And then the very next house going north, I guess, that one's full of water on the right-hand side of the road. What's the plan for those?
So where you said the mini excavator?
Yep.
We took out, that was just the mulch in there.
Yeah.
Took that out, we took out the gravel, we replaced it.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to make sure that it's operating properly.
Yeah.
Now, we're also going to go down to the next storm cell
Yeah.
and start working on it.
That leads me into my second question that I had. I noticed that all the storm cells are filled with mulch. Mulch turns into loam. I don't understand how the rain garden's going to work properly with with mulch in there as is. Was it designed that way?
The storm cells,
Because I'd never seen mulch in there before. When Sean was on the board before, we were going through, remember Pam was talking about all these rain gardens out in Newton or wherever they were, or Winthrop or something. I've never seen mulch in them until I went through there. And I was just surprised to see that much mulch because it turns into that black soil that you had at the bottom. I don't know how the water's going to drain out in the 72 hours that it was designed at. Because you're originally at 24, I think, and then you moved it to 72, or it was 72 and you moved it to 24. It's one of the two. With that type of condition, I don't see how it drains. I could be wrong, but I would just like to make sure that it's per the design, not a concept that evolved.
I would just add, the concern with mulch is, to your point, is with water. It's wood, it's going to either float off. You know what I mean? It's not something that's going to be stable long-term.
Well, it's in a bowl, so it can't float away, but
Correct.
it's just going to rot and turn into an organic material that won't drain very well.
To the board. I believe in the set of plans that I have, they do have a detail that calls out what is supposed to be in the bottom of the basins. And I believe it was vegetated with some plantings in there, and they gave a variety of plantings that were allowed to be used in that area. They say nothing about mulching.
Yeah. Could you get us a copy of that detail for the next meeting or something, just so we can see what it actually is supposed to be?
I'm sure the engineers could answer the question really fast. as to
Yeah.
what are
No,
the
that's fine. I'd just like to put my eyes on it and see what it looks like.
Actually, I thought they were going to join us tonight.
Yeah, well,
Somebody from
Corey
Haley
Doug was
Moore.
supposed to join us, but,
Yeah,
because I specifically asked him.
yeah. At that conference call, said one of them was going to join us, but I don't see where they have. Haley and Ward, Doug, or
Yeah.
Corey, we're going, yeah. All right, so it's in road phase 2, they make mention that there was supposed to be 12 trees. There are 12, but same thing, none of them are the correct diameter. So I think the board feels like they should be that size when they're planted, Neil. So if you want to speak to the powers that be, and, they should be that size when they're planted. That's, and they also reference in the phase 2, number 2, about some of the grass strips are poorly vegetated. All areas in which grass have been established should be reseeded. Areas in need should be scarified, and additional loom should be placed. Prior to seeding, grading should be as required on the definitive plans. So that's something they're making note of, and they will be checking it, so.
Yep.
Also in Phase 2, they did the street lights, the correct amount have been installed. And like I said, there were several complaints about them really not being bright, that it was dark down there, but if the lumina is what was proposed and what was approved, then that's all we need to know.
Okay.
And it makes mention of, on that roadway in Phase 2, that the asphalt binder within the phase shows no signs of deterioration. The roadway crown appears acceptable. However, there are 2 areas that may require shimming at Station 900, and a large depression in the road at a pavement joint which does not provide a smooth transition. So I'm sure you're familiar with that. I actually drove through there today and saw it. And he makes mention in his report that appears that most of the driveways are in acceptable condition, and there was mention, I think, of 6 that were not.
That was in Phase 1.
In Phase 1, yeah, in Phase 1.
Right.
Sorry, I just jumped ahead. And then Phase 3, Road B, no street lighting has been installed there yet, so I just want to make sure it's put in according to the plan. And that roadway has minimal signs of deterioration, especially near the roadway edges. The roadway crown appears to be acceptable, and the asphalt binder should be repaired in the presence of Haley and Ward. So that's the roadway, so they definitely need to be there when you're making those repairs. And then about Phase 3 and paragraph number 5, he talks about the lack of vegetation or minimal vegetation. So that's going to need to be addressed. So how quickly do you think this could get taken care of, most of these items?
Well, most of them should be able to get taken care of within a month or 2. I need to talk to the town about the streetlights.
Yep.
Obviously, top coat. I could go through and give a schedule to the town once I have a chance to go through.
All right, and you know what, why don't you plan to come back next month so we can, I mean, we've got several people that are, bothered by this, and rightfully so. So if you could, maybe before the next meeting, send a report of what's been done and what the schedule is for the remaining items on here. And if you could come in, we'll try to discuss it and hopefully come to a resolution on everything.
Okay?
So was there any members that wanted to discuss anything?
Yeah, actually, we just received notice about a week ago from R&R Realty Management about paving, starting to pave driveways on the 6th, and then after the driveways in Phase 1, and then they're going to move on to the roadway.
Yep.
You're going to be able to correct these problems before you pave that? Before
The
you get
driveways
into
or
paving?
the roadway?
Both.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So the 6th is in 2 days. So you're going to be able to do the repairs, because in the complaints there's complaints about the driveways being broken up and stuff like that, so I would assume that you're going to have to repair the binder coat before you can put your top coat on.
Yes.
Okay, so you're going to be able to do that.
Yes.
Yeah.
It'd be done by the same paving company.
Yeah, so then after you repair that, what's the plan for the road?
The road,
Yeah,
once all the driveways have been paved for each phase, then we would be doing the,
so you're going to do all the driveways first and then do the roads?
Yeah.
Because according to R&R thing, I think he said something about June 17th.
no.
So, no, I'm telling you what he said, right? It's in a notice that we received. And if that's the case, you have work to do on the rain gardens and some other things. It might not be in the best interest of the development to be driving heavy trucks, 10-wheelers or whatever, around trying to get all this material in and out of there.
Agreed.
To correct it. So, as the chairman had requested that you come back next month, I personally would like to see some answers on what that actual schedule is and what your plan of attack is with that stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, did R&R say we're paving top coat of road on the 17th?
I don't have it in. That's what I remember it saying. I'm not sure. I don't know. Do you have that with you?
I have it here.
Yeah. So if building official can bail me out.
Phase 1 as follows: 6/6/25, weather permitting, compass 40 driveways, odd numbers 1, 3, 9, 11, 17, 19, 25, 27, 31, 33, even numbers 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28. It furthers to tell people they have to have the garage doors open, driveways empty, and can't park in front of the units. Compass Point Road itself, we pave once the driveways are completed in phase 1 from unit 1 to 32.
That's what I remember it saying. So it does say that it's not all the driveways done in the development. It's you're doing section at a time.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, and we'll make sure that any heavy equipment work is done prior to that.
Okay.
Les has got something.
Lost my train of thought there
Yeah,
for a
sorry
second.
about that.
So in that letter, they talk about notifying the homeowners, but that's certainly not the zoning board's responsibility. I'm assuming the homeowners got that letter
Yes,
about not parking in the driveways on those dates?
yes.
Did Haley and Wood get sent that letter?
Not that I'm aware of.
Well, it'd be a good idea, because if it's part of what we're in charge of or overseeing, they're the engineer of record. I want to make sure that the mix is correct, the compaction, all that foolishness that goes along with the engineering side of things. You can't just leave out the engineer. That's what they're there for, is to have some oversight on this project to make sure we don't have any issues. Save you a headache and us a headache.
So also you'd want them to be aware of the schedule so that they can coordinate their schedule.
Right.
This has been going on since 2017 or something like that, when we started this thing, that there was an engineer that was notified. We kind of seemed like we got away from that a little bit. We really need to get back on track with that and make sure that we're just doing what we need to do. So just another pair of eyes, not to harass you, just to make sure we get word that it's signed off, it's signed off. We're not going out there, we're not micromanagers to try to figure out what you're doing and criticize you. That's what the engineer's for.
Okay, so I'm making a note here for Jen to send a copy of this, of the R&R letter to Haley and Ward. So- Go ahead, Les.
Just a question, is there a designated parking spots and stuff like that, if people are going to lose access to their driveway for a time frame, or even when the road gets a top coat, you may have to have a spot where people can park 20 cars and, you may want to look into that and kind of provide them a temporary parking area. Location tweaks help them out, because if they can't park in their driveway, or when the paving gets in the road area, and it's already a...
Well, they're not going to be able to park in their driveway or in front of their units because the
Yeah.
paving trucks are out there.
Right, yeah,
It's going to be a problem.
that's all, that's all. I would just recommend it, makes it easier and stuff like that,
Good point.
even if it's one of the cleared lots or whatever, that's dirt, just so people get a spot to park.
Okay, thank you.
What if I can speak to one of the complaints? One of the complaints was with regards to the mailboxes at the end of the road. And the fact of the safety factor of people trying to get into their mailboxes at the end of the road. When they park in front of the mailboxes, they're parking on the sidewalk, they're opening their door into flow of traffic. There is no off-road parking for those boxes. I don't know, it doesn't even show them on the plans. I don't know who coordinated with the developer to install these, whether they talked with the post office and the post office said here or whatever, but I don't see anything in the plans with regards to where they were supposed to be located. They don't even show that there was supposed to be any at the end of the road. What I would just say, going with what they're dealing with and the traffic flow that's increasing with every unit that's sold, there is the high possibility of somebody getting hurt there trying to get to their own mailbox in that mail station. I would think that as the developer should be looking forward into that to see if there's something they can do to provide some way that they can move it back in off the road more or whatever to make it safer for these people and allow at least a couple of parking spaces. I know all the other developments in town, when they have those, they have 3, 4, 5 turnouts, complete turnouts that your vehicle's off the roadway.
Yeah. Who determined the location of that?
We went over it with the post office.
Post office?
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's a legitimate complaint. People
can look
want to be
into that.
getting
Yeah.
hit by a car while they're getting their mail.
Yeah.
So if you can come up with a plan to alleviate that, that would be great.
I have a question about all your downspouts. Were they designed to be just a discharge onto the ground or go into the rain gardens or go into dry wells?
They go into the storm cells.
I know what they go into. What were they designed to do?
They're designed to go
It's
into.
done as designed?
Yeah.
Okay. You seen that on the plan?
I'll look into the plans.
Thanks.
Okay. Anyone else?
With the bond,
Yeah.
because with Phase 4 coming up, we need to get that bond squared away. Ed and I exchanged some drafts, went back and forth, and then he messaged me a week or so ago saying that for whatever reason, they were unable to get the bond underwriters on board with doing a bond. He suggested moving to a covenant. I think this was, we structured the security provisions in the comp permit to have the first 3 phases essentially be on a covenant, where we're controlling the flow of occupancy permits. When we get to the 4th phase, it was contemplated that whatever is remaining on the pavement and related stuff, that would get covered with financial security. In fact, the comprehensive permit says only has financial security in that provision, and that was purposeful. And I'm not sure you remember, but I remember that discussion that we had about how to structure that last one all those years ago, Dan.
Right.
So, there can be good covenants done. It would change the nature of it. It would mean that we're controlling the infrastructure based upon the release of occupancy permits. But if for some reason the project went sideways, and I'm not suggesting it is going to go sideways, all the covenants in the world don't get that pavement done.
Correct.
And I think it was purposeful that we get financial security here.
Yeah.
I told Ed that I didn't have the authority to move forward with the drafting of a covenant. I mean, I could draft a covenant in my
Is
sleep.
that considered a minor or major change?
That's up to you. I'm not sure it necessarily requires a hearing per se, but I would probably, because the things that become minor changes are things that you don't have to discuss. If you have to discuss and think about whether or not it's good for the town of Douglas and the residents of the project, it's sometimes worth it to consider a major change.
Well, the second part of my question is that something for this level, or is that something on the Board of Selectmen's level that,
It's in the comp permit.
when you're talking about suggesting a covenant versus a bond, Who would make that determination? This board would
This
make it?
board, because it was this board's requirement.
Okay.
This board goes into the shoes of like planning and everything else, and gets to sign subdivision or project security. I mean, it's important to have the select board understand what's going on. They are obviously involved in this.
Yeah, I'm just making sure because it is,
Yeah.
because of the structure of the
So,
town
I'm
government,
not-
I'm making sure we're doing the
I
right
think
thing.
there's ways that we could do a pretty nice covenant, but I think the downside is exactly what we talked about, which is that it doesn't provide any protection if at the end of the project, they walk away during, not saying you are, Neil, you've been at this project for a long time, but stranger things have happened.
Yep.
I had one of these just right over in Mendon, where they just walked away near the end of it, and we were stuck, because all we had was a covenant form of security.
Right.
Because you can mix it up with 40Bs a little bit more than with subdivisions. So in any event, I think if you're interested in doing that and selling it to the board as a good form of security, and I think this is more in Ed's camp than yours, Neil, but you're going to have to formally request that of the board. I don't think I think it needs to, at the very least, be an agenda item. I don't think it's anything, in fairness to you, put you on the spot. We've got folks who reside at the development. I think it's important that we go through that. So if you're going to be back before us next month, I think it's important that you all figure that out and send us a notice as to what you want to do so we can get it on a proper agenda and decide if it's a major or minor change, if that's the case. And I think we'll have a good, fair discussion on it. We all know what these things are.
But fair notice, I don't want to get it 24 hours ahead of time.
We
Well,
also,
we can't.
No, I know,
because
I'm
it's a
just saying, I'm just-
48-hour notice.
we also
I'm just-
discussed this at length years ago and agreed to post a bond, and I think it personally that it's to the best interest of the town to have a
You
bond.
were pretty adamant about it at
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah, I
For
still am, and,
And I think that's fine. They're entitled to make the request.
Yeah.
What I don't think we can do is change the comprehensive permit without that actual request being made. So I think that has to happen, and then you can say no or yes. First, you have to make a determination as to whether or not it's a major or minor change. And then if you determine it's major enough to have discussion on it, then we have to schedule a public hearing. So that's kind of, and I know I'm not trying to burden you with it, because I know that's kind of the other arm of the organization. The only downside to having to wait, potentially a two-step if we have a hearing, and this is as much for Ken as it is for anyone else, the commencement of that phase is determined to be building permits per 2018 decision, which was kind of a gift in and of itself. So you can't, before that, I don't know if you're close to building permits on phase 4, but we need to secure this before you can do that work.
This has to be resolved before you can get a building permit.
That's correct.
As far as-
Mhm.
Yeah, no, but that's been clear. I've been saying this since
Right.
phase 2, so
Right.
it's no surprise.
And the board in 2018 stepped that up and allowed it to be building permits rather than any construction. So right now, you're actually technically able to do some infrastructure, which is kind of good for you guys.
They
But
did that
we-
already.
Right,
Yeah.
we have to draw the line on that. So I think it's something that's pretty important to get resolved, so I don't know if you just want to be the messenger to Ed, but he sent me something today, and I said, I can't make that decision, Ed, that's going to be up to the board. So, and I'll be here to talk to the board about it if I'm available when we get together, for sure.
so we need a formal request before we can vote. Is that what?
Yeah, because there's a process when you change a provision of a comp permit. As you know, you got to make the request, you have to determine whether it's
Minor.
minor. If it's determined that it's minor, then it just goes in. Here, I know that there's going to want to be discussion, so you'll probably determine it's major, then within the 30 days after that. Then, so you need, the gap in time is, they have to give you, you get 20 days to determine whether it's major or minor. So if he submitted a request tomorrow, you would have to meet within 20 days to make that determination. I think it would be better to make that within 20 days of when we're already scheduled to have you back, so we can have a more round discussion on all the remaining issues here. But from a lawyer's perspective, I really want to nail that down. And Dan and I don't know, Sean, I think that was even before your time on the board when we originally did this at that
I don't
time.
know.
No, it,
Were you part of
Oh, yes.
that? Yeah,
As
It
we
was
parceled
John,
out each
Pam, and,
individual building permit.
Dan.
yeah, yeah. Because there's things that have come up over the years. Ed said, oh, that's not in the permit. That's not in the comp permit. That's not what, so why don't we stick to what's in the permit?
That's right.
Sean had something.
Oh, go ahead, Sean.
And if my question is premature, I understand completely, but was there a suggestion as to why it is bond companies were refusing
You know what?
to post, what risk there was involved?
So I'm not going to
No,
guess
okay.
on that.
Speculate,
You know,
yeah.
there could be, it might be a tight bond market right now. It's not fair for us to kind of guess that they have their own reasons for requesting security. And, you know, I'm not going to speculate as to what those are or aren't. So that's their house.
And back then, we did have a lengthy discussion about it.
Yeah.
And the town is absolutely in a better position with a bond than they are with a covenant.
Yeah, and I actually really like the thing where you stick with the covenant through 3/4 of it, and then you switch, make sure you get that financial security at the end. It kind of ties up things pretty nicely, allows us, hopefully at the end, by the fourth phase, the number's also lower, and it's easier to manage it through financial security. And it doesn't have to be a bond, it could be a tri-party agreement, it could be a passbook account, there's other forms like to have it be, but, you know, I think that you're going to have to think about it long and hard
Yeah.
on that question. So, and I let Ed know that, so I just, I'm
Okay.
not trying to kill the messenger.
No, thank you.
The, all your stockpiles there of the stumps and all that stuff and all the extra soil that you probably won't need, what's the plan?
To haul it off-site.
Yeah,
And the extra material will be taken off-site.
yeah, eventually. Any timeline on that? as
I
to
don't
when
have a
goes up?
schedule for that right now.
If you could look into that for next month.
Any other board members? If not, if there's anybody in the room that would like to speak on this, we do want to just keep the comments directed to things that fall under the ZBA's approval. And I think we did discuss most of them, but if there's anything that you're aware of that you want to bring up, now would be the time to do it. I just need your name and address, please.
Yeah, Heather Rose, 31 Compass Point Drive. My biggest concern is just the unresponsiveness. Like, we ask for things, we don't get any kind of, not any reply. And I think that that's what led to all of this, where everyone in the complex is so frustrated. So just a suggestion that maybe, even through R&R, if we could get some kind of reasonable reply to things that we request, it would help us understand a lot better what's happening,
Yep.
instead of things getting so out of hand. With the roadway, are they going to be putting like a sleeve in for the sewers and all that, so that there isn't, when they put the top coat on, so that there's not a huge...
They get adjusted. They'll
Yeah,
be flush with
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Okay. Typically, when they put down the loom, it's not always screened loom, and it's full of weeds. They don't put any kind of product on it for like starter fertilizer that also kills off the weeds. The very first time they used the hydro seeding on the hill behind my house in that huge field in the back, which is completely barren. They did it in mid-July during a drought. And since then, the association has been charged for overseeding and reseeding and things like that, which has not helped ever. We keep getting charged over and over out of our association fees to fix something that wasn't installed properly in the first place, to really a great expense at, the homeowner's expense. I want to make sure that this time we actually have the topsoil we need. And if we had been informed by the builder that we were going to have to, water the grass ourselves, we were told it was going to be irrigated. We had so many promises. We had promises there was going to be overflow parking. Is there going to be any? There were just so many things that were conveyed to us upon signing our contract, and then it never happened. So what's going to happen with that field behind us? Is that going to be part of that 4 to 6 inches of screened loom, that it's not going to just be a big field of weeds again?
That's in between Compass Point and Nautical Way, is that what she's talking about, Neil?
No, it's directly across from the fire cistern, almost.
Yeah.
All right, so across the street, the hill comes up, flattens out, so it looks like a field up there.
Right.
Behind where the rain gardens don't drain.
Yeah.
I have the one next to my house that has pushed my foundation up, cracked it. I have flooding in my basement. I had it in the middle of the winter because the sump pump can't pump out frozen water. So as it thawed, it came into my home. You installed a sump pump in my house years ago on a frayed extension cord, and that extension cord's still running across the floor of my basement. It's still not even hardwired in. That's very frustrating for me because I've asked several times for that to be repaired.
I'd be more than happy to meet you on site.
But those are the types of things that all of the homeowners are frustrated with. We're frustrated with asking for something that isn't unreasonable and being ignored. And having our money spent to fix things that the builder did not install properly in the first place. So one other thing that came up was the
You can have that if you want.
bulkheads. According to the manufacturer, they were supposed to be painted within a certain time period of being installed, and they've never been painted, and they leak like crazy.
Okay, that would be out of the zoning board's.
That's out of zoning board?
Yeah.
So, okay, so the other thing, just so you know, Neil, is we are, as a group, going to hire a representation to address all the civil matters if you guys can't come to terms with us. If you can't just meet with us and get it done, we're going to hire someone as a group.
We'll get you.
Thank you so much for listening.
Rates are supposed to be.
Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Neil's going to be back, or somebody from the company next month, and you're certainly welcome to join us at that time as well.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anything else?
I'm just curious, I didn't get the answer. What's the plan for that elevated field?
So that was loomed with proper loom.
Yeah.
It was seeded.
Yeah.
It did not take right away.
Yeah.
We will reseed it, fertilize it, and get
But
something
not
growing
in
there.
July, I hope.
No, now.
Because if you had done it at the beginning of May, there'd actually be grass there right now.
Yeah.
If we do it now,
Yeah.
it's probably going to have the same results that we've had because they always seed it.
We can address the problem. He gave us an answer as to how he's going to address it, and
It's just
we can't micromanage him on how he means and methods of what he's going to do. We just have, I know, it's frustrating, and it's not necessarily the answer you want, but we have a certain role here, and we can't overstep our bounds too much, right? So I'm asking the questions for you to try to get an answer, and it's something I will follow up on. Neil knows, he's been dealing with me for a long time, so.
Okay, so Neil, you'll get us a schedule, and then you'll come in next month and give us a report on what's completed and what remains to be completed. All right. All right, anything else?
Great.
I think we're all set.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What they have done so far.
I think that's
Yeah.
You see that? Thank you.
All right, I think that addresses all the agenda items.
Neil, can you just do that out in the hall, please? Sure. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Say, could you just briefly give the board members a rundown on the difference between the bond and the covenant, so everybody's
Sure.
aware?
So financial security, whether it's a bond or cash deposit or a bank agreement, means that we send our engineer out and our other professionals. They determine how much it's going to cost for the remaining work. We add a 20% contingency. And we sign it, and that is money that is guaranteed either by a bond company or a bank, or just with cash deposited with the town. And the agreement states that they have to do the work by a certain period of time, and if they fail to do it or they do it inadequately after an inspection, then we get the money and we can hire someone. And usually there's enough money there so that it's prevailing wage, all the other good stuff, and we go in and do the work. We don't like to do that, but that's the guarantee that we can at least do some of the work.
Right.
A covenant, on the other hand, is similar agreement where there's inspections, but rather than money, we get them to do all the infrastructure, so they can't actually sell the units until they do the infrastructure. With the bond, they can actually sell units because we got the money as the security. A covenant, we're holding back their occupancy permits. Sometimes we hold back their building permits, but here we'd probably hold back occupancy permits. And our leverage would be, hey, you can build a bunch of houses, but you can't sell them until you do this work. So they have a powerful incentive. At the end of a project, it's important to have security. Covenants are great at the beginning of a project because they're getting going. They can't afford to give us a bond anyway. We're in it for the long haul. At the end of a project, especially a phased project, the fear is that someone walks away. Okay, we made a few bucks on phases 1 through 3. We're going to walk away, whatever. You know, I don't have any money left. I'm close to retirement. Whatever it is. I don't want to run this company anymore, and they walk away. So when you just have a covenant, there's a risk that someone walks away and says, not my problem. But so that's why later in a project, it's good for us for the remaining items. And here, it's designed to be the remaining items. So pavement's expensive, so it's going to be a decent number, but it's not as bad as if it included all the drainage and everything else at the beginning of a project. So that's the two devices, and that's why Dan and I and the rest of the board were so insistent all those years ago that when you get to phase 4, we want everything to be locked down with some financial security, so that if for some reason someone decides to pack up and go home, we have the money to finish the project for those residents there. Not the houses, just the infrastructure.
Right. And with an insurance bond, the insurance company's not going to run away.
That's the hope. I've seen it happen.
Oh, well,
You know,
okay.
and I sense, you know, the kind of agreement that I need the insurance company to sign as well, including that if they are going to run away, they have to find a replacement. Because sometimes companies shut down, or that arm of the company shuts down. So that's the kind of things that, you know, we make sure of in the agreement. That was in the draft of it.
I just think we have to do whatever's to the best interest of the townspeople.
Right, and, you know, Sean, I don't want to speculate.
No, I apologize.
If I was going to speculate, I'd say that it's a little lean up there right now, and that's probably makes bond companies, it's also not an awesome climate for bond companies right now. There's a lot of uncertainty. So it's some combination of factors that probably, or the bond company is saying, I'll do it, but you better put in some of your own
Right.
juice, you know?
But you also have the 4 final occupancies along with
Right.
the bond.
Yeah, and Ed pushed back on that, and I said, no, those are the same, you know, those were both required.
Yeah. I'm in line with Dan's thought. I mean, it just, because I think to be fair to, the town of Douglas has had experiences where projects, one of which was up on North Street, one of which was on West Street, kind of became defunct and became a problem child for the town who inherited it and then had to go in and, cover those fees and things like that, and there's actually, continuous things that we have a list of bounds, meets and bounds we have to put in subdivisions, that cost the taxpayers of Douglas to properly make that.
Yeah, here the process is they have an opportunity to try and sell it to you. That doesn't mean you have to be a buyer.
Nope, true.
So that's the
all fair.
process. And look, this board, and Dan, and Sean, Mike, and some of the rest of you that have had to deal with it, this board's been incredibly generous in amendments over the years.
I agree.
You wanted to see the project get done.
At the very beginning, there was a lot of concessions that was given.
Throughout. I mean, we go through the list, and I think sent it to me at one point, or maybe
The list that they don't do.
the amount of amendments here
Oh, yeah.
for their benefit.
38 of them.
Yeah, and all to their benefit,
Yeah.
so, and we're at the end, so it's now or never.
We want to make sure we do it right. So we'll see.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that was a daunting task when you said, would you have a list of MOU changes?
Did they only sell 3 units so far in phase 3?
Say again?
They only sold 3 units in phase 3, one of
Phase 3
four?
sold out.
Huh?
Phase 3 sold out. He only did the first 62 units in total, and he put a real play on the affordable side.
Well, Jay was doing some math and it just, things don't quite add up, but according to this, and you had
Everybody get a copy of that?
only, it looks like 3 units. Affordable was 248, so that must be 1. And then regular units with 904, I would assume that was 2.
Yeah, no, he only went to a total number of 62 units.
But the numbers still,
He's up
so
into the 78 or 82.
I did a
units.
little rough, and it's very rough math. The market rate units by this would have averaged 362,000.
Yeah.
My guess is they all sold, or not all of them maybe, but
Many of them are, now they're over 500.
I'm going to guess that phase 2,
Yeah.
the last third of phase 2 were over 400.
so,
They've gone up since then for the entire.
and I don't know what phase 1 sold for either, but
Phase 1 started off, it was affordables with like 280,000.
Forget it,
And it
I
was
mean,
like
I'm not-
300,
Affordables were 188 on phase 1.
not for very long,
Yeah.
because they jumped up to 280.
I think 232.
those
I
numbers
think,
are
if I
somewhat
remember right.
inconsequential. They make up the money on the market rates, and
Right.
an average over 62 units here at 362 sounds like too much of a bargain to be true. Now, I know these are sales spread out over a number of years, so maybe there were some market factors there.
Well, like I said, that doesn't include phase 3.
Right.
That's only phase 1 and 2.
There's only
We've
3
got
units in
over
phase
80
3.
units sold.
1 and 2 units.
128 units in total, there's 38 left to do, so it's at 90? 90
Yeah.
units have been sold.
Yeah.
Right, but this is based on 62 total units.
62
So I was doing the math based on
Right.
62
Yeah, but that was phase 1 and 2.
and
They
3
didn't bring
units.
in the 30-plus units on phase 3.
Right.
Yeah.
Because the number's too high.
Yeah.
So, getting back to your covenant, Jay, you're saying that we could hold up occupancies. However, this group has a habit of pre-selling these things and putting their purchase and sale and the closing date 2 years out,
A good
right?
covenant
So-
is going to say no sale and no occupancy.
Right.
So none of those.
Yeah.
And we say no sale and no occupancy, so Ken doesn't get those angry calls saying like, I have a closing scheduled, what do you mean I can't get my occupancy?
So moving forward from the building department's point of view with these permits on this project, I had permits prior to me, my predecessor, but there was permits that were into 2 years old with nothing being done or a foundation only. My permits by law are only good for 180 days. If there's no work being done within that 180-day period, those become null and void. They had, I'm going to guess, probably 20, 25, 30 permits issued in a block. I'm not doing that. I'm going to follow the guidance that's set to me by CMR with regards to if you're pulling a permit, this permit has to be started within 180 days, and it has to be continually worked on. Because they have a tendency to want to do this to get around energy codes and everything else.
At the end of phase 2, that unit that was just studded was there over 2 years.
Yeah, the lady
I
came
went
in
in to do
here.
a rough rate on a unit, a building permit was issued in 2019. I did a rough frame in 24.
Wow. That's not how the code works.
No, so just moving forward.
Yeah.
So
My building point of view with the permitting up there, regardless of, his quants and desires,
My feelings on this is that we've always been at a disadvantage all the way up until this point. And if you don't take control of the project in a reasonable manner at this point, you set yourself up for failure. They're giving you a balance sheet that says that they're in the hole, so you can't buy your way out of debt, right? So to agree to allow them to build more and not clean up their prior messes in 1, 2, and 3, and have all these stockpiles of stumps and all this other stuff, that's money to get rid of, and prevailing wage would cost us a fortune, right? I think they need to get their stuff cleaned up as much as they can up until the end of phase 3 before they start phase 4.
well, there
And
was
get some sort of
guidance
surety in it.
within the comp permit, and it did speak to stockpiling of materials and the maintenance procedures for the stockpiled materials.
Mm-hmm.
If they're going to be there more than 14 days, it would be stabilized.
Well, at this point, I would like to see the engineering firm re-energized into this project, not to be in there like the Gestapo, but to go in there and actually do proper oversight in there, right? Not even notify the town and the engineering firm. From my understanding is we get that notice from R&R from one of the property owners. It didn't even come from the developer, right? That should be going to the Haley and Ward, or whoever the engineer is of record at the moment, to make sure that the asphalt's at the right temperature, it's the ground temperature, right, depending on what time of year they're doing it, right? Did they properly fix the base? There's cracks that have been there since 2017. How are they being addressed, right? They just going to top coat over them? Are they going to patch them? What are you going to do to it?
And there's
And
thickness.
that's what I'm looking
Thickness,
for.
compaction, there's
Correct.
a lot to it that somebody
Right. I don't even know.
representing the town should be there.
So when we started on phase 1, a little flashback in time, there was a Bobcat with a roller on the front. You remember that, Sean? And SIP tests on all the soils and stuff, all that stuff has gone away. They've done whatever they've done in phase 4, and when you call them out when they were in there doing the work, oh, we're not building the road, we're just roughing it in. Well, you dug down 3 feet and you're taking material that's stockpiled over here to put it over here. Is it even the right material? I have no idea, right? You've already heard the woman speaking and saying that we're paying for things 2 and 3, 4 times over. This is a huge pay if they have to go back as a group, because it's not the town, to go back and pay that. And I don't want it thrown back on us that we didn't do our job properly and set them up for failure.
Anybody else?
Just, I know that part of the complaints was the fact that there is an HOA up there that they're paying into, and that's what she was utilizing, saying that the HOA is now paying this R&R to go back in, reseed and vegetate and all the stuff that was supposed to be done by the builder. They're paying for them to go in and do now.
That, correct me if I'm wrong, Jay, but that's a civil matter, that's not a zoning matter.
Well, at a certain point, so, depending upon what the condo docs say, someone takes over the responsibility for the infrastructure that's normally, and shame on an HOA if they're taking over responsibility for infrastructure, but I reviewed those HOA docs for form, many years ago. Other than that, at a certain point, you know, they are going to have to be responsible, but the original construction obviously should still be the responsibility
Right.
here.
So Jay, wouldn't normally, if phase one's done, complete, everything's punch list, then the homeowners association then kind of would be responsible for, hey, phase
Take over
one's
phase
done,
one,
you know?
Not necessarily, it depends how it's structured. So
Yeah.
sometimes there's different homeowners associations based on phases. I don't think that's the case here. My recollection is that it's one,
Yeah.
and usually the takeover point, the formal takeover point would be at around 75%.
Yeah, I was going to say 65 or
Yeah.
somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't recall there being like, you know, homeowners association for, those are for really big projects where we see that.
I know they say that they don't have any vote in what goes on.
So that means that they don't own it yet.
And it's
But
under-
he's probably giving them assessments.
Well, he's the managing trustee of the HOA.
Right, so he
but
has-
he just handed management to R&R.
Depends on how this stuff's
Yep.
set up, right?
Yeah, sounds like he still owns it and just makes them pay money.
Or is he very creative on how he made that transpire?
They went up $80 a month on their fees.
All right, I think we're,
Well, there's one more item.
oh, go ahead.
Can I bring it up?
Sure.
Speaking of comprehensive permits, now, we're going to have a site visit next week for the Southwoods.
30 Southwest Main Street,
Yeah,
yeah.
so right now that's scheduled for
If another one goes on.
the 11th at 4 p.m.
Proposed 40B.
I'll be there.
33.
So we're just going to meet on
33
site?
units.
Yeah, I think that's fine.
And so how many are coming?
It's a challenging piece of land with a
Well, if there's
a lot of elevation.
if we have a
changes.
quorum, we'll have to
It's a shame.
call a meeting. That's that 40B project that came in last month, Ron?
And because
And they,
it abuts the trunk line.
there was some, Margaret had some good questions, and the developer just sending out their representative to look at it with us. So it's the 11th at 4.
Comments from the ZBA that went to the selectmen, did that get forwarded off to the state agency, the housing authority? Do we know?
I can't answer that for sure, because that was sent back to Lisa, and it was addressed to the chairman at that point. So I can follow up on that and find out.
All right, we'll just want a copy with us when we go and meet with
Yeah.
them next week.
Yeah.
Okay, so anybody that can make it, south,
Yeah, so we're just going to pull right in there, because I guess they're already out there doing perks and things like that.
oh, okay.
Who's going to go?
I'm planning to go.
Yeah, I might go.
All right,
The
so
11th.
The 11th
we're
at
gonna
4
have-
o'clock.
You're going to have to post a meeting, Dan. Post a meeting.
Not for a
that.
site visit.
No?
Nope.
As long as we don't say anything?
Yeah, you can't deliberate. You
We're
can
not
gather
deliberate.
facts, you can ask questions about the site.
Okay.
You can't then say, hey, would you be willing to
Okay.
change something?
Yeah.
Yeah, no
No deliberation.
posting necessary for site
Yeah.
visit.
Oh, okay.
Perfect.
Walk and take notes.
Yeah. All right, so
One of my open
anybody
meeting
can make
law
it?
seminars,
Good, good,
you
good.
learn something.
Well, send me a note.
All right,
I have to know about them to
I'll
attend.
entertain a motion to adjourn.
For towns where we're town council, we do them
Second.
once every other year.
Oh, yeah?
I'll move first.
Okay. Okay, we have a motion by Sean, seconded by Margaret to adjourn. The meeting is adjourned at
8:38.
I'm sorry.
You want to take a vote on it?
Yeah, I think we should.
All right. So
All in favor?
aye.
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 Meeting's adjourned at 8:38.